We have a major Lakers trade update as a new report has dropped revealing some new details surrounding Rob Pelinka and his pursuit of another player. We're going to break down exactly who that is and discuss what the new report entails as more moves are coming and Rob Pelinka is planning something big. So stay tuned for all that in this episode, folks. But before we get into it, if you're part of the 83% who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Lakers content. We're on the road to 5,000 subscribers. Your guys' support has been unbelievable. We've gained a ton of subs over the past week or two. And if you want to help us towards that goal of 5,000, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And Happy New Year's to you all. Hopefully, you're enjoying times with your loved ones and family. But ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of things to go over today. And again, happy New Year's to you all. Let's start with this. A new report has dropped from Michael Scotto. There's a bunch of different reports here, and you saw in the video there regarding Jonas Valanciunas. He is the big target. You saw him in the video in the thumbnail. But Mike says the Lakers will continue their pursuit of Jonas. Gabe will be included in trade talks, and Dorian Finney-Smith is expected to decline his 15 mil player option to become a free agent. So there's a lot to discuss in this little bit of this article here. So we'll start with the Gabe and the DFS before we dive into the Jonas Valanciunas talk. So we know Gabe Vincent, he's been very active in trade talks surrounding Rob Pelinka. They've actively been shopping Gabe Vincent. He obviously came over from Miami. He hasn't really panned out quite as well. But when it comes to looking at, matching salaries and players who are available for the Lakers, Gabe Vincent, along with, Jalen Hood, Shafino, Vanderbilt to a degree have been, and of course, D'Lo there for a while, were the ones named in talks. But now, as you start to think about how Gabe Vincent is going to, impact the team, like until he's traded, we saw JJ Redick come out and say they're going to miss D'Lo immensely, miss his playmaking, miss his ball handling, of course, the backup point guard spot. Now with Gabe Vincent, assuming he is going to slide into that role as backup point guard for a while, or at least help play a supporting role on the ball handler, it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to get back if they trade Gabe Vincent. And clearly, Jonas Valanciunas is the guy they're targeting. See this here, Jonas makes $9.9 million this season. He signed a 3-year deal worth $30 million, about $10 million AAV per year. The only player they can trade to get to this number would be Gabe Vincent. But there is one glaring issue. Trading Gabe or backup PG for a center will leave us with 3 rotational guards in Austin Reaves, Max Christie, Dalton Knecht, and only 1 point guard in Reaves. I don't know, but Jonas doesn't make sense for us. Plus, he's not a guy that's going to be a Laker 3 to 5 years post LeBron, as Shams said. So there's a lot to unpack here. So obviously we know that, reports are coming out that they've been targeting Walker Kessler, and Kessler makes a lot of sense for a few reasons. He's under control. He's a young asset that can, be paired alongside AD for years past LeBron. And of course, once even AD leaves, assuming Walker Kessler is only 25 years old now, he could be a guy for the future. When you're looking at JV, he's in his early 30s. He is a guy now who would probably, arguably help a fair bit. He's an offensive-minded big man, and according to all reports that have come out, the Lakers aren't necessarily interested in someone who they were at least primarily focused on a rebounding, defensive-minded big. And that is not at all what Jonas Valanciunas is. It's actually, quite frankly, the opposite of what Jonas Valanciunas is. So when you're thinking about these new reports, it seems like they're zeroing in a bit on Jonas Valanciunas, but like I mentioned, it's interesting because they don't have a backup point guard without Gabe Vincent. And assuming you do a deal, let's say Gabe Vincent and seconds for Jonas Valanciunas, because it's been reported that Jonas Valanciunas you'd be able to get him from the Wizards for 2nd-round picks. Him alongside, like I mentioned in yesterday's video, some other players, Kelly Olynyk, Bruce Brown, all those guys are available for seconds. Jonas, he wouldn't be, it wouldn't cost a 1st-round pick. And when you look at some of the other players that they've been going for, whether that is Walker Kessler, whether that is any of these other big men, most of them are going for 1st-round picks. So when you're looking now at Jonas Valanciunas, you could get him for some 2nd-round picks, which makes it a bit more interesting when you're talking about the grand scheme of how this would work in a trade. That being said, and let me know down below, would you do a deal focused around Gabe Vincent and a second or 2 let's say 2 seconds for Jonas Valanciunas? It's interesting because Gabe hasn't played well at all. He's been starting to play a little bit better, but they already gave up one of their backup point guards. So if they were to make a trade for Jonas Valanciunas in exchange for Gabe Vincent, they would have to at least be very confident in Austin Reaves' ability to be a primary point guard, play 35 minutes a night at the 1, and even LeBron's health to be able to run the point forward. And 2, they have another plan in mind to either get somebody, who's, not on an NBA team right now. Maybe they have someone in their G League who they, can call up. They have faith in being, a really, limited minutes guy off the bench, but most likely they'll make a trade for some sort of serviceable backup point guard for another 2nd-round pick. So if they make this trade, I would assume they're not just going to have no backup point guard, or at least no firm role backup point guard. Again, they have Reaves, Max Christie, Dalton Knecht. You can have LeBron run the pseudo 1. You can have Austin Reaves, of course, running the primary point guard. But for a while there, before his 16-assist game, there were question marks surrounding the Lakers of, can Austin Reaves even be that starting point guard on a championship caliber team? And again, Michael Scott of Hoops Hype writes that, again, they appear to be determined to flip Gabe Vincent to the Wizards for Jonas Valanciunas. Having acquired the wing defender they sought in Dorian Finney-Smith, the next item for the Lakers on the list is a backup center. The Lakers will continue to try and acquire Wizards center Jonas Valanciunas or another backup center on the trade market, the remaining future second-round capital, and Gabe Vincent is expected to be dangled in talks as well, league sources told Hoop Hypes. And this makes a ton of sense. Like I just mentioned, the second-round picks is what the Lakers clearly want. Now, I don't think if they make a deal for Jonas Valanciunas, like, they could make a trade for Walker Kessler. We know that the Jazz own the Lakers' 2027 first-round pick, so deal is a bit more tough. And, of course, all the big men and really both players, and we'll dive into this in a minute, that the Jazz would want, of course, would be first-round picks because, Walker Kessler for a first, Jordan Clarkson, maybe he's worth the first-round pick, would provide you some scoring off the bench. But, again, here, even in this trade where you're giving up 2 firsts, you are now getting this backup center you want in Walker Kessler, but you're getting Jordan Clarkson, who is not a point guard by any means. He's not a facilitator. He is a pure bench scorer, which is absolutely something the Lakers are open to, and of course they wouldn't hate, but they're still without a backup point guard here, and that is the problem. And talking about why the deal hasn't come to fruition yet, the Wizards have pushed for more draft capital than the Lakers have been interested in giving up and also pursued Russell's expiring contract. After the Lakers traded D'Lo to the Nets, this might be a done deal. However, the franchise can still use a center like Valanciunas. His rebounding physicality and increased scoring can take pressure off AD and allows Davis to focus solely on the defensive side where he's been dominant. However, they might not be interested in a non-versatile center. The scoring might be nice, but his lack of lateral movement and rim protection is quite glaring, and we know how good AD is. Lucky for the Lakers, there are other routes to go. So, again, it's very interesting. I'm very curious to see what you all think in the comment section. I think they are prioritizing getting a backup center for second-round draft capital so they can keep their 2029 and 2031 first-round picks in order to flip those 29 and 31, picks into bigger assets. Because if you make a trade for Valanciunas and it includes Gabe Vincent, clearly the salary works. They want to flip Gabe for Valanciunas and second-round picks. That makes sense. You then use those first-round picks to maybe go fishing bigger for a backup point guard or maybe even starting point guard and move Austin Reaves back to the shooting guard spot. Maybe this opens up a trade for a guy like DeJounte Murray, and then you give up some of your first-round picks. You have a backup center in Jonas Valanciunas. You have your great defensive center, starting center in AD, obviously. The backup defense, the center from the backup position, in Jonas Valanciunas' defense off the bench would be horrible. There's no debating that. It would be very, lackluster, and that's not something you necessarily want or that the Lakers need. But if you make a deal like this for Valanciunas, again, you are only giving up second-round picks. And because of that, you can then flip those 2031 firsts that we're seeing here in a deal for, now, whether that's a DeJounte Murray, which is obviously a bigger fish, or even a guy like Colin Sexton from the Jazz, who you can then have as your backup point guard. Like, it's not just a one-and-done thing. And I get what Clutch is saying here, saying that basically they don't have a backup point guard. But, Clutch_23, at the same time, you're thinking about it, and shout out to him. He does some, great tweets regarding the Lakers. They can flip those 2031 and 2029 first-round picks into other assets as well. So it's very interesting. I don't think Jonas Valanciunas is necessarily the answer, but I will say if they go out and make a deal for Valanciunas for seconds, like it seems like is going to be the plan and the strategy for the Lakers going forward, they make a bigger and a better move regarding a backup point guard, or maybe even a bigger splash than a lot of us are thinking. But let me know what your thoughts are on those in the reports in the section down below. Also, let me know what your thoughts are on Clutch's, thoughts here regarding not having a backup point guard if Valanciunas is traded to the Lakers because we already gave up Gabe Vincent. There's a lot to talk about. We're going to keep you up to date with all the latest Lakers news. Tons of stuff is coming out, so make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.